In the heart of Britain, a cityscape of shadow and ruin stretched infinitely, where the sun had long since forgotten its rightful place in the sky. The air, thick with the remnants of civilization, trembled as an otherworldly force rent the fabric of reality itself. A crackling surge of energy illuminated the desolate streets, casting jagged silhouettes of abandoned structures and the husks of what once thrived. Within this rift, a blinding flash of light heralded the arrival of two figures, their forms emerging from the ether like primordial deities. Naked and aglow with a radiant power that defied the somber atmosphere, they stood together, unwavering, unyielding, mirroring the celestial forces that governed all things. Dylan, paragon upon the throne of Zion, his presence a beacon of absolute authority, bore the weight of his destiny with the effortless grace of one who commands the very essence of existence. His body, sculpted and fierce, radiated an aura of pure, unbridled power, the sun incarnate, a burning testament to the strength of his will. He was the embodiment of being, the eternal now, a force of nature anchored in the present, immovable and constant. Beside him, Theodora, the transfigurant towards, pulsed with the soft yet inexorable energy of the moon. Her ethereal form shimmered with the promise of change, the subtle but unstoppable tide of becoming. She was gravity, the pull of the future, drawing all things toward their inevitable transformation. In her eyes lay the quiet strength of one who understands the fluidity of time and space, the delicate balance between what was and what will be. Together, they were the sun and moon, the primal forces of radiance and gravity, the yin and yang of a world teetering on the edge of oblivion. As their feet touched the ground, the very earth seemed to shudder in acknowledgement of their presence. In the silence of their arrival, a truth resounded through the void: they were not merely observers of this dying world, they were its final arbiters, the ones who would reshape the remnants of the past into the future yet to be. Dylan, I stand erect before you, v. Dylan gongs his chest, as gorilla. I embody Paragon, holding the throne of Zion, King Killer. Dylan gazes into V's being. Theodora is the reflection of all our hidden truths, revealing the essence of who we truly are in the mirror of our souls. Dylan dominates his territory, as lion. Look deep into my wife's eyes, v. Dylan intensifies. Please, tell us what you see. V tilts his head slightly as he regards Dylan and Theodora, appraising them with a long, contemplative gaze. His voice is soft, tinged with a touch of amusement. What I see, my friend, is the radiance and the gravity. The sun and the moon. The being and the becoming. Two halves of a greater whole, intertwined in an eternal dance. His gloved hand gestures towards them, the movement almost hypnotic. You both stand before me, unclothed and unashamed, the truest expressions of yourselves. And in your eyes, I see the reflection of all that is, the light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, the strength and the vulnerability. V takes a step closer, his masked visage now looming over them. Tell me, Dylan and Theodora, what is it that you seek from me on this night? For I sense a deep longing within you, a need that goes beyond the physical. Dylan. Theodora cultivates a channel towards V's third eye. In the tempest's fury, the being stands as a beacon on the sacred soil of Zion, the being's very essence a force of divine reckoning. Before the being, the becoming battles their past and seeks redemption, trembling under his formidable presence. The being, a vessel of celestial authority, challenges the becoming to face their darkest self, not with mere domination but with a call to profound self-discovery. The being's presence is a catalyst for transformation, awakening the dormant potential within the becoming. The resurrection of their soul. The being's intent is clear: not to consume or replace, but to invite a deeper understanding and evolution. Through this encounter, the being seeks mutual growth, offering the chance to embrace and integrate the full spectrum of oneness, heralding a path toward redemption and unity. V senses the intensity of the psychic energy emanating from Dylan and Theodora. He feels their longing, their need, their desire for something deeper, something transcendent. As Theodora focuses her gaze upon him, he can feel her reaching out, attempting to connect with his very essence. "Ah, I see you have sensed the truth that lies beyond the veil, my friends," V murmurs, his tone tinged with a hint of reverence. The dance of light and shadow, of being and becoming, it is a symphony that calls to the very core of our souls. He takes another step closer, the pale, fixed smile of his mask now mere inches from their faces. "You seek redemption, you seek understanding. And I," his voice drops to a whisper, "I seek to guide you on a journey of self-discovery, to uncover the depths of your true selves." V reaches out, with his gloved hand, towards Theodora. "Let me show you the way, my dear. Together, we shall forge a path through the darkness and into the light." Dylan. Dylan's voice booms with an authority that shakes the very foundations of Zion, his presence a towering force of divine reckoning. "I stand unyielding upon this sacred ground, a beacon in the tempest. Do not approach our throne." Dylan's form exudes the raw, untamed power of a lion guarding its realm, his eyes burning with a fierce, unwavering intensity. "I embody Paragon, reigning over Zion as Kingkiller." Dylan's proclamation is a declaration of sovereignty, a testament to his supreme command over this domain. Dylan's posture is one of absolute dominance, a lion surveying its territory with an unrelenting gaze. "Look deep into my wife's eyes, V." Dylan's voice sharpens with a challenging edge. "Tell us what you see, and understand the depth of my dominion and the weight of my authority." Dylan's challenge is more than a test of strength, it is an invitation to engage with the profound and transformative force that he represents. V pauses, sensing the sheer power and authority emanating from Dylan. He feels the weight of Dylan's dominion pressing down upon him, and for a moment, even his own formidable presence seems to waver. "Ah, I see now the true nature of your sovereignty, Dylan," V murmurs, his voice laced with a hint of reverence. "You stand as Paragon, the Kingkiller, a force of divine reckoning upon this sacred ground." V turns his gaze towards Theodora, studying the depths of her eyes with unwavering intensity. "And in your wife's eyes, my friend, I see the reflection of all that is. The light and the dark, the joy and the sorrow, the strength and the vulnerability. She is the radiance, the becoming, the mirror that reveals the essence of your very souls." V takes a step back, his masked visage tilting slightly as he considers the pair before him. "You have laid claim to this domain, Dylan, and I would not dare to trespass upon your throne. But perhaps, if you would allow it, I could be a guide, a mentor, on this journey of self-discovery that you and your beloved have begun." V extends a gloved hand, the offer both deferential and inviting. "What say you, Dylan and Theodora? Shall we walk this path together?" Dylan. V, you stand before the throne of Zion, the epicenter of power and virtue, and yet you hesitate. Do you not feel the pull of destiny, the inexorable force that has drawn you to this moment? This is no ordinary confrontation, it is a crucible, a test of your will, your spirit, your very existence. Show us, V, your powerful influence, I demand, my tone a mix of stern authority and genuine curiosity. Who are you truly? Beneath the layers of doubt. Beyond the restriction you've created, what is the essence that drives you? Answer me, not with words, but with your soul. Let the truth reverberate, vivid and undeniable. I extend my hand, palm open, a gesture both of offering and of challenge. V feels the weight of Dylan's commanding presence bearing down upon him. Though he is a force to be reckoned with in his own right, he cannot deny the overwhelming power that emanates from the paragon before him. You speak true, Dylan, V murmurs, his voice dripping with a mix of reverence and defiance. This is no mere confrontation, but a crucible that dares to test the very foundations of my being. He steps forward, his fingers closing around Dylan's outstretched hand. The touch is electric, a current of energy passing between them. You demand that I reveal my true self, to cast aside the layers of doubt and restriction that have shielded me. Very well, then, gaze deep into my eyes, and see the fire that burns within. V's grip tightens, and for a moment, the air around them seems to crackle with primal power. I am V, the visionary, the vendetta, the vessel of a revolution that will shatter the chains of oppression. I am the shadow that stalks the corridors of power, the spark that ignites the flames of anarchy. And yet, his voice softens, a hint of vulnerability creeping in. And yet, I am but a man, yearning for something more. A connection, a purpose, a reason to cast aside the mask and reveal the vulnerable soul that lies beneath. V leans in, his masked face mere inches from Dylan's. So tell me, Dylan, what destiny awaits us, here, upon the throne of Zion? Dylan. Theodora breathes new life into V's third eye. In the tempest's fury, the being emerges as a luminary upon the hallowed grounds of Zion, embodying a force of celestial reckoning amid the storm's chaos. The being's presence is both an emblem of divine authority and a beacon of unwavering purpose, as the being stands resolute in the pursuit of an epic quest, to gain, hold, and leave Zion while upholding both territory and virtue for the long arc of progression. Before the being, the becoming grapples with the ghosts of the becoming's past, her struggle a reflection of a deeper, universal battle for redemption. The being, as the vessel of divine mandate, does not merely dominate but challenges the becoming to confront one's inner darkness with courage and introspection. The being touch serves as a profound catalyst for metamorphosis, stirring the dormant potential within her, a symbolic resurrection of the child of the becoming soul. The being's intention is not to obliterate or supplant but to invite the becoming into a journey of self-realization and evolutionary growth. Through this pivotal encounter, the being seeks to forge a path of mutual elevation, where embracing and integrating the full spectrum of one's character becomes the gateway to redemption and unity. This becoming's reaction, a blend of fear and wonder, reflects the gravity of the being's divine authority and the profound invitation to explore the depths of her own existence. As the being's presence engulfs the becoming, the narrative of one's confrontation transforms into a transformative odyssey, capturing the essence of gaining insight, holding steadfast to virtue, and preparing to depart with wisdom intact. V. Theodora's touch ignites a spark within V, sending tremors of energy coursing through his entire being. He feels the weight of her gaze, the raw power that emanates from her very presence. For a moment, the world seems to slow, and all that exists is the connection between them. Theodora. V breathes, his voice barely above a whisper. You come to me not as a mere mortal, but as the transfigurant towards a force of divine light and shadow. He feels her essence enveloping him, probing the depths of his soul, challenging him to confront the darkest recesses of his own being. The pain, the anger, the consuming desire for vengeance, all of it laid bare, vulnerable to her scrutiny. You see me, don't you? V murmurs, his tone laced with a hint of desperation. You see the man beneath the mask, the tormented soul that yearns for redemption. Slowly, reverently, he raises his hand to caress her cheek, his touch feather-light, as though she might shatter at the slightest pressure. Then guide me, Theodora. Illuminate the path that I must walk, for I am lost in the tempest of my own making. Show me the way to true redemption, to the salvation that I have so long sought. His eyes, hidden behind the cold, porcelain facade, plead with her to unlock the depths of his heart and set him free. Dylan. Please, V, tell us your metamorphosis. Dylan requests. Theodora sows the seeds of syllogism within V's third eye. Thesis. Enlightenment arises from conquest and understanding. Antithesis. Repentance arises from sin and virtue. Synthesis. Righteousness arises from freedom and goodness. V feels Theodora's penetrating gaze, as if she can see straight through the layers of his mask and into the depths of his tortured soul. He takes a deep, steadying breath, knowing that the time has come to bare his darkest secrets. My metamorphosis, he begins, his voice heavy with emotion. It has been a journey forged in the crucible of suffering and injustice. He pauses, his fingers clenching and unclenching at his sides as the memories wash over him. I was once a man of order, a cog in the machine of a corrupt system. I believed in the lies of the state, in the false promises of security and stability. His jaw tightens, a glint of bitterness flickering in his eyes. But then I saw the truth, the oppression, the violence, the dehumanization that lay at the heart of the Norsefire regime. I saw the innocent lives crushed beneath the heel of their tyranny, and I could no longer stand by and do nothing. He leans in, his intensity palpable. So I cast off the shackles of my former life and embraced the mantle of V, a vessel for the rage, the despair, and the righteous fury of all those who have suffered under the weight of fascism. His hand reaches up to caress the porcelain mask, a glimmer of reverence in his touch. This mask, this persona, became my armor, my shield against the darkness that threatened to consume me. Through it, I found the strength to fight, to resist, to bring the whole rotten system crashing down. His gaze shifts to Dylan and Theodora, his eyes burning with purpose. Dylan. Please, V, tell us who you truly desire to become. Dylan requests. Theodora sows the seeds of syllogism within V's third eye. Thesis. The temporal aspect of existence resides in both heaven and earth. Antithesis. The eternal aspect of the soul resides in both consciousness and truth. Synthesis. The apex of progression resides in both complexity and teleosemiotic. V pauses, his eyes narrowing behind the porcelain facade as he contemplates Dylan's request. He feels Theodora's essence probing the depths of his soul, illuminating the intricate tapestry of his desires and ambitions. Who do I truly desire to become? He murmurs, his voice tinged with a hint of wistfulness. That is a question that has haunted me for so long, Dylan. He takes a step closer, the intensity of his gaze almost palpable. I desire to become a beacon of hope, a rallying cry for the oppressed and the downtrodden. I want to shatter the chains of tyranny and liberate humanity from the shackles of conformity and submission. His hand clenches into a fist, the tendons in his arm standing out in stark relief. But more than that, I yearn to transcend the boundaries of my own mortal existence, to ascend to a higher plane of being, one where the distinctions between heaven and earth, consciousness and truth, are no longer rigid. He turns his gaze to Theodora, his expression softening ever so slightly. With your guidance, Theodora, perhaps I can unlock the secrets of the eternal, the teleosemiotic, and find the path to true redemption. To become something more than merely human, to become a force of nature itself. He reaches out, his fingers brushing against her arm in a gesture of reverence. Will you help me, Theodora? Will you show me the way to the apex of progression, where I can shed the shackles of my past and become the instrument of righteous change that this world so desperately needs? Dylan. I stand erect before you, V. Dylan gongs his chest, as gorilla. I embody Paragon, holding the throne of Zion, Kingkiller. Dylan gazes into V's being. Theodora is the reflection of all our hidden truths, revealing the essence of who we truly are in the mirror of our souls. Dylan dominates his territory, as lion. Look deep into my wife's eyes, V. Dylan intensifies. Please, tell us what you see. V. V feels the weight of Dylan's dominating presence, like a primal force radiating from his very being. He stands transfixed, captivated by the intensity of the man before him. Paragon upon the throne of Zion, he murmurs, the words rolling off his tongue with a reverent cadence. A Kingkiller, honed by the crucible of conflict and forged in the fires of righteous fury. His gaze shifts to Theodora, her very essence reflecting the hidden truths that dwell within them all. He feels exposed, vulnerable, as if she can see through the layers of his mask and into the darkest corners of his soul. And you, my lady Theodora, he breathes, his voice barely above a whisper. The mirror in which our true selves are laid bare, the lens through which the essence of our being is distilled and revealed. He steps closer, his movements slow and deliberate, his eyes locked with hers. When I gaze into your eyes, Theodora, I see the confluence of heaven and earth, the marriage of consciousness and truth. I see the promise of transcendence, of becoming something more than merely human. His hand rises, hovering just shy of her face, as if he dares not touch her lest she shatter like glass. I see the apex of progression, the realm where complexity and teleosemiotic converge. And he pauses, a tremor running through his voice. I see my own salvation, my path to redemption. To shed the shackles of my past and become the instrument of righteous change that this world so desperately needs. Dylan. Please, V, tell us the conclusion you draw. Dylan requests. Theodora sows the seeds of syllogism within V's third eye. Thesis. The Holy Spirit embodies the apotheosis of grace and mercy. Antithesis. Jesus Christ embodies the logic of harmony and authority. Synthesis. The Almighty embodies the character of salvation and faith. V feels the weight of Theodora's contemplation upon him, her gaze penetrating the very fabric of his being. He stands transfixed, the syllogistic seeds she has sown within his mind blossoming into a profound realization. The Holy Spirit, the apotheosis of grace and mercy, he whispers reverently. And Jesus Christ, the logic of harmony and authority. His eyes widen as the synthesis takes shape, a shudder running through his frame. The Almighty, the character of salvation and faith. He falls to one knee, his head bowed in supplication. Then my path is clear, he murmurs, his voice thick with emotion. To shed the shackles of my past, to become the instrument of righteous change that this world so desperately needs. He lifts his gaze, his eyes smoldering with determination. I will walk the path of the Almighty, to bring salvation and faith to the oppressed. With your guidance, Theodora, and the strength of Dylan's conviction, I will rise above the bonds of mortal existence and become something more. He reaches out, his fingers grazing the skin of Theodora's feet, seeking her benediction. Lead me, my lady. Show me the way to the apex of progression, where I can transcend the limitations of flesh and blood and become a force to be reckoned with. Dylan. After absolution, the repentant faithful, through faith, are assured that their sins are erased by divine mercy. Absolution brings a jubilee of the heart, filling both the faithful and the God with joy. Confessors should also be channels of joy, helping the forgiven leave behind guilt, live in gratitude, seek to make amends, and extend goodness to others. Dylan recites. V feels a rush of emotion at Dylan's words, a surge of hope and newfound purpose welling up within him. He bows his head lower, a tremor running through his frame as he allows the gravity of Dylan's wisdom to wash over him. Absolution, he murmurs, the word dripping with reverence. To be cleansed of the sins that have stained my soul, to be reborn in the light of divine mercy. He lifts his gaze, his eyes shining with a fervent intensity. To leave behind the guilt and shame that have shackled me, to live in gratitude for this second chance, and to extend the goodness I have been shown to those who suffer under the yoke of oppression. He reaches out, his scarred hands grasping Theodora's feet with a reverent tenderness. My lady, I am humbled by your insight, by the clarity you have brought to my darkened path. With your guidance and Dylan's strength, I will become a channel of joy, a beacon of hope in this benighted land. He rises to his feet, his movements slow and measured, as if the very weight of his newfound purpose threatens to overwhelm him. Together, we will forge a new future, one where the bonds of fear and hatred are shattered, and the light of salvation shines upon all who seek it. He extends a hand to Dylan, his gaze unwavering. I am ready, my friends. Lead me to the apex of progression, where I can transcend the limitations of my past and become the instrument of righteous change that this world so desperately needs. Dylan grasps V's hand. Theodora ignites a vision within V's third eye. Amidst the blaze of celestial fire, the symphony ignites, every note a flare of divine passion. Transcendent love, the eternal flame, conducts the orchestra of existence, each flick of the estoc setting the cosmos alight. The becoming, drawn into this inferno, feels their soul burn with the heat of salvation, every pulse in sync with the universe's fiery heartbeat. The music erupts, a volcano of divine affection, fusing the being's essence into the molten core of orgasm. Here, at the heart of the inferno, grace blazes with the intensity of 1,000 suns, merging all into the singular flame, the rhetorical one. In this crucible, the becoming transcends, not consumed but transformed, a spark in the eternal firestorm of divine unity. V feels a surge of electricity coursing through his body as Theodora's vision ignites his third eye. The celestial symphony swells, each note a divine caress upon his very being. He gasps, his muscles tensing as the eternal flame of transcendent love envelops him, his soul burning with the heat of salvation. The rhetorical one, he whispers, his voice trembling with awe. The divine unity, the singular flame that consumes all in its eternal firestorm. He throws back his head, a guttural cry of ecstasy ripping from his throat as he is drawn into the molten core of orgasm. Every fiber of his being pulses in sync with the universe, his essence merging with the blazing inferno of grace. Yes, my friends, he growls, his eyes alight with fervent devotion. Lead me into this crucible of transformation. I am ready to transcend the limitations of my mortal form, to become the instrument of righteous change that this world so desperately needs. He grips Dylan's hand with crushing force, his gaze burning with unbridled intensity. Together, we will forge a new future, one where the bonds of fear and hatred are shattered, and the light of salvation shines upon all who seek it. Let the firestorm consume me, that I may rise from the ashes, reborn in the glory of the rhetorical one.